Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? I heard you for a second. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Hello? Hello.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Um, I'm good, but I'm really sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I mean, I just slept off.
I thought you probably were still in Bangalore. That's why you were not able to.
It's kicking me out. I don't know why.
Okay. I can see your screen.
Oh, okay. All right. Probably that's why it kicked me out. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I was here last night. I was back last night.
Okay, okay, okay.
Got slept off. So my
Oh,
bad. I'm really sorry.
no problem.
Give me a couple of minutes. A minute, actually, not more than a minute. We'll go through the Oracle doc today to
Okay,
discuss a few things
okay,
because my PPD doesn't have those topics.
okay.
So,
You said this is available online, right?
yes, I mean, it's a very old document, uh, but it should be available. This is from the old times, actually.
You can please share this if it's not proprietary.
Yeah, I mean, you can always have anything. That's fine.
Because
I'll
I
share it.
yeah, I see this format because I've done a lot of Oracle classes, so you get this, you attend those classes.
Yeah, it's this one is a boot camp basically.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
document.
I think they publish it like in the general Oracle, documentation.
Absolutely.
Is that a fan running in the background? I always want to ask
Yeah,
you.
yes, absolutely. There's one on the top. It's I always have it on the full speed. It's summertime, so
First
yeah.
day I thought it was your mouse or something making some noise.
No. It's a fan. I mean, the noise is annoying. I know.
No, it has a particular frequency to it. That's why I was like,
Okay.
so maybe the bearing is a little worn out. I think so. It high and there's a low pitch to it.
Absolutely, you're correct. You're correct. You got it.
And I'm a mechanical engineer by training, so
Wow, nice. Okay, you can visualize things. That's nice. All right, so there's this thing which is very important, which not many of people are aware.
Okay.
So we talked about BSO, and we also talked about having multiple databases in a one application.
Mm.
But there is Oracle doesn't actually recommend it. The few reasons why. One, if you have more than one database, and then the resources of the server are distributed. That's one case. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And then there is another case where when something goes wrong at the database level. So the administrators, how do they know what went wrong and how do they fix it? Is they look at the logs going at the level. If it is an application level issue, they'll go to the application level issue and then find the log files and you know try to fix it. Now, when it comes to different databases, if any of the databases is malfunctioning or if there is any problem and it's not working accordingly, the admins will have no clue for what database is in question because these log files, they are not generated at the database level, they are generated at the application level.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one thing which you could emphasize on when there is a requirement. Customer is asking for more than one database. You can let him know the challenge. Okay, why you don't want to do it. Maybe a couple will be okay, but more than a couple.
But quick question, Mohammed. So logically, right,
Yeah,
one-to-one makes more sense, right? Let's say I create a P&L ASO cube or BSO
yeah,
cube. So
yeah.
why would I have two databases uh, supporting the same BSO application? What would be
Absolutely
like?
wrong. One to one is always a best practice, and all. I mean, you will see the same pattern on the production.
Okay, so I see the answer on
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I mean, it's yeah. So, but here it also claims that the planning applications with multiple plan types automatically create a single block storage application with multiple databases. I think you were looking at this already, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, when I say plan types, it's basically top down, bottom up. That's how they work, and you can control it in the same database. Okay, within the same database, you can just introduce a new member under version, and then you can probably control it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just give me 30 seconds, please. I'll get some water for myself. I'm back. Sorry. And now it also talks about two common exceptions. One of the common exception is to have multiple plan types, and the other one is for currency conversion.
Mhm.
Okay, so when you are talking about currency conversion, what you usually do is you will have two different databases. Okay, in one of the databases, you will store all the values against each currency. Now, those values will change with respect to the base value, the base dollar value or base currency value.
Right.
Now, how does it change? You will have someone who is specially allocated to change the currency values. Now, this is not from the admin side. This is not uh, from the development side. This guy is not from the development side. This guy is specially from the company who is who we basically source. Okay, someone from the customer side. Okay, they'll have an accountant or someone who goes in. Um, um, let's say they want to do the budgeting. So let's say they have the very first 10 days as the window to do the budgeting. I mean, the window opens, um, the forms get open for everyone, whoever wants to do the budget. They go in, they input the values, adjustments, final values, everything settles down, and 10 days. After 10 days, the window gets closes. No one gets to use the forms. No one gets to use, I mean, to do anything unless there is an exception. And then we have an approval. We tend to open that window first against those approvals. So that's a different story. Now, during these 10 days, they will constantly, you know, keep updating this currency exchange table. The reason being they want to do whatever the operations they want to in a very accurate way, keeping the currency exchange rates into view. Okay. This is very interesting. Generation 1, generation 2, generation 3, then there's so this is a terminology. Okay, the terminology is, one of them is genealogy, the other one is generations, and the third one is levels. Now, when we talk about genealogy, we talk about ancestors, we talk about descendants. Okay. Now, if you look at the topmost guy, scenario, he is the ancestor of who? Scenario variances.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the people, current year, prior year, forecast, budget, rolling forecast, and scenario variances. And then you have children of scenario variances. Those ones are called as descendants. Okay. No, descendants are everyone basically under scenario. Whoever falls in the scenario, they are the descendants. And then the three members, actuals versus budget, actual versus forecast, budget versus forecast. These are the children of scenario variance. Okay,
Yep.
that's how you can use the terminology of ancestors, descendants. Now, why do you use this? There are functions which are used to um, let's say um, you only want to use these three members of scenario variances. Okay, the actual versus budget and actual versus forecast and budget versus forecast. So let's say you want to look at the sales with these three scenarios. One is actual versus budget, the other one is actual versus, I mean, these three scenarios, you want to look at the sales. So you can use this function which is called as descendants of.
Mhm.
So when you use this descendants of scenario variances, it will get you the whole value of these three descendants of scenario variances. So you, it's basically what I'm trying to make you understand is you can also write children of
Mhm.
scenario variances. There are two functions, children of, and then, but when you when you use descendants of scenario, no matter what the tree looks like, no matter what the hierarchy looks like, at the rate descendants of scenario, it will pick everyone. You know what I mean? It picks the ancestors under
It's something
whoever
similar,
the
like zoom to bottom level, right? When you space or smart view.
zoom to bottom. No, zoom to bottom level. When you zoom, basically you get one level at a time.
No, no. Well, yeah, there are options like zoom to next level, all levels, and bottom. So in this case, if I just like an
Yeah,
analogy, if I zoom to bottom level on scenario variances, right, it'll give me all the three.
yeah, absolutely. So
So and
it
you're
gives
saying
you,
your function is an
yeah,
alternate way of getting that. You're saying, right? It's a function, right? Descendants of.
absolutely. When you have, let's say the customer wants, so you're talking about smart view,
Right,
yeah,
right, right.
and you are basically analyzing it, right? You want to analyze for zoom to at the bottom level, you get all the members in that particular dimension, and you will have oh, all the values uh, on the x-axis for all those on the y-axis. Am I correct?
Right, right.
Yeah. So this is how you are technically working on smart view. But what if when you go to smart view, when you connect to the smart view, when you connect to a form, okay, let's say I created a form, you don't need to do all this. All you need to do is when I have this form created exactly like you are analyzing it, all you have to do is connect to it and you will see all the values on the left hand side
Right, right, right.
zoomed to bottom level and the values against them for the x-axis. So
Okay.
it could be sales, it could be anything.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you achieve that on the forms is you basically write business rules and then you attach those business rules to the forms.
Right.
Okay, and those forms are assigned to whoever are looking at those forms. So when they
Right.
connect to that form, the basically this when I'm talking about this form, it's not different. It's exactly similar which you're talking about smart view. It is the same way it gets open, but there is a difference. In the form, I can make a few members who cannot be changed. I mean, the values are just read only,
Right.
and I can also have one text field added
Mm-hmm.
so that he inputs the value there and then it goes along. Yeah, this can be controlled on the form. But whereas someone who has a smart view, if provided he has access, he can play around with whatever combination or whatever analysis he wants to do.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one thing. Now you can also look at the same thing at generations. Okay, the topmost is the generation one. I mean the dimension level,
Right.
and then this the children of that dimension are generation two, and then the children from one of the members are generation three. If if budget versus forecast has a children or a child, it goes to generation four. Okay,
Yep.
and then some terminology with levels now. Level zeros are the ones which basically um, the level zeros are, let's pick scenario that's level, it could be called as level 2 or level 1. Looking at one of the child of scenario has a few members, the scenario variances becomes level 1. Okay, and then since scenario variances is a kid of or a child of scenario, it becomes level 2. Make sense? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
user
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense.
okay, all right. While we are here, mm, this is important. These terms are very important. Member, what's a member? A name at any level in the hierarchy, including dimension names. So when I say create a dimension, or I have 5 dimensions, it's nothing more than creating a number. Because when I talk about creating dimensions, there is no such object which is different from a member, and it could be a dimension. It's just like another member. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Now The question is, do the dimensions roll up? Do the dimensions roll up?
No,
The
right?
answer is no.
Yeah.
The answer is no. That's why we mark them as labels. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little later. And then there is a parent, a member that has a branch below it. That becomes a parent. Simple, very simple. What's a parent? A member which has a branch under it. That's it. Child, a member that has a parent above it. Siblings, this is hard to explain, okay? Because this again uses another terminology. The child members of the same parent and of the same generation. So this is using of the terminology generation. So these are the members at the same level, members of this childs of the same parent and at the same generation, of the same generation. Descendants is all the members in the branches below a parent. Then it becomes descendant. Ancestors, all the members in the branches above a member. I can have if it is scenario, okay, here. Who are the ancestors for actual versus budget? It's scenario variances, rolling forecast, budget forecast, everyone. Those ones are the ancestors. I can say parent and its siblings. Or if parents and siblings. What's a root? The top member in the branch. That's basically at the dimension level. What's a leaf? Member with no children. We hardly get to see this. I think these can be skipped. Can be skipped. These are the steps basically to move the members, to create the members. Very basic steps. We can go through them when we are working on the console. Where are the storage properties? I can't find it. I can't find it. Anyway, I can brief it down for you. Okay, so there are a few storage properties when you create a member. So why do you need a storage property? Is basically when you create a member, the member is created to store the values, sometimes calculate the values from the values which are stored already in their siblings or in the parents or in the children. Okay, that's when you also need the properties for that member to act accordingly. So here are a few. So the first one is store data. What it basically does is it just stores the data. Whatever the data is loaded, whatever the data is input, this member, when you set it as a store data or it's just for the store only, when you select the property of this particular member as store, all it does is it stores the data. So if you have members where you need to store the data, that's when you choose that member as store data. And then there is never share. Never share, it never shares the value which has stored in it. When you don't want the other members to share the value, that's when you use never share.
A quick question. So,
Yeah.
So do we store data? Let's say you have a BSO application with 8 dimensions. So do you assign the store data for all of the 8 dimensions?
Store data for not all. So that's when these labels come in. Okay, that's when these dynamic calcs come in. Okay, and yeah, so it depends, completely depends. Now, how do I explain this? Can't really recollect. So when you have these operations against the numbers, basically, okay, then you basically need to store the data there to either reuse it or use it. That's when you use this option, store data.
Okay.
And then there is I mean, you have the member formulae on your outline, right, against the members. You write the member formulae saying that, let's say I want to calculate the gross profit. Yeah. So you pick the gross profit percentage, or let's say the net profit. So you get the gross profit and then you roll all the expenses to a particular member, and then you'll have a member which is called as net profit. You'll write down a formula saying that the gross profit, so the net, the expenses minus the gross, that gives you the net. So you write down a formula. So that can be done at. So this is not a value which is loaded. Your file will not load the value. So the values which are loaded are gross profit and the values against whatever the accounts are. all it does is it calculates on the fly. You load the data, and it calculates when the data is being rolling up, or when the calculation is done on that dimension, yeah, or a respective dimension or different dimensions, or when you're looking at the values with that combination. As soon as that combination comes into picture, it calculates on the fly and gives you a value. So for these kind of members, you will set the storage property as dynamic cal. Now, there is also another one which is dynamic calc and store. Okay. Now this one, most of it's not a great practice. Why do you need to store the values when you are dynamically calculating it? But there are situations. I don't really feel there would be a situation. However, if there is a situation where you need to store the data, then you mark that particular member as dynamic calc and store. It will calculate the value on the fly, but again, it stores the value as well.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe can we stop here, Muhammad? I'm losing steam as we speak because of the long day.
Yeah, no problem. We can stop here. Tomorrow we can catch up again. I'll not be late tomorrow, definitely. I don't know how did I turn off my alarm. I already had my alarm set.
Right.
It just happened. I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. No. Yeah, we'll can catch up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And yeah, that sounds good. And then we'll go further, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and no rush. Whenever you get a chance, you can send me the guide also.
I am doing it. Yeah, let me do it now.
Awesome.
Before I forget.
So do you have to go to work today, or you work remotely?
I am going to rest today.
Oh, okay.
I need rest.
Oh, did you? Is there like a high-speed train or flight to Hyderabad to Bangalore, or?
Yeah, it's just an hour. Takes
Just
not more than an hour.
Oh, you just fly there. Okay.
Fly back in. I was here 9 p.m. yesterday.
Oh, you came home, and then I'm sure you must have been very tired, right?
Yeah, it was a long day for me. And then keep on. I'm gonna send 3 documents, okay?
Sure.
And these ones are very beautiful ones.
Yeah. The
If you
Oracle ones are really, I have the ones that I went. They usually they do a nice job of condensing the stuff from. Sometimes you may have to. I don't know if Yahoo is there a limit.
No, these ones are just 7 MB. Yeah.
Should be fine, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Have gone.
Thank you so much, Mohammed, and I will catch you tomorrow night at 10.
Yeah. No problem.
Have a nice day.
And you. Cheers. Have a good one. Bye.